Cocoan's perspective.
"Explain yourself!" shrieks the small green-skinned biped, who just entered the room as she springs down from the shoulder of the man, covered in mud and red bloodstains, drawing my sister's foot and pointing it at me with murderous intent. What? I ask, startled, and completely at a loss for what I might have to explain. "The attack! Explain!" she screams. "Representative, what are you talking about? What attack?" I ask, not a little unnerved by being in an enclosed space with the combination of woman and weapon that dealt me the single worst wound I ever sustained. She may be small, but I know she's fast, nimble, ruthless, and won't hesitate to strike a killing blow. "The attack on death! One of you did it! Don't act like you don't know!" accuses the formidable twig woman furiously. My insides go cold at her words. I know nothing of this. If one of my people attacked this village, they did so without my knowledge and certainly without my approval. You have to realize that I wouldn't jeopardize the peace between us at this stage, don't you? I plead.
"How'd you know it was a Vraghand?"
asks Ambassador Ong, the conversation with whom and with whose wife was just interrupted by this intrusion, his voice placid and penetrating. Flatly, Taylor answers without taking his gaze from the knife hand of the one in front of him.
"One of them came to the mine, beaten up and bleeding. He passed out pretty quick, and I ran him here to get seen to by the doctors. He said it was a Vraghand who'd done it, but he lost consciousness right after. Weren't able to ask him any clarifying questions. All the twig of down tools to go and help him out. I've told Fan to expect more wounded coming in soon."
"He said Vraghand. He used that word?" asks Lamo. The large Terran frowns.
"Actually, he said monster."
She ponders. "Representative, does the term monster exclusively refer to the Vraghand in your language? Could this be a case of broken telephone?" "Why are you defending them?" spits the twig girl, jabbing my sister's foot in my direction in outrage. "They've always hated us. What's more likely, a non-Vraghand monster turning up in these parts, or that she's lying when she says she doesn't know what I'm talking about? Or maybe it was that 7-footed murderer she's put in charge of bossing the Vraghand woman around. We already know she doesn't mind killing folk."
"So there are non-Vraghand monsters,"
clarifies the male ambassador. The girl makes a noise somewhere between a growl and a sigh, and irritably answers, "I guess so. Sure. I've heard of such a thing as monsters that aren't people, monsters that don't build, monsters that hunt alone and don't live together. But..." "The Kohash," I interrupt gravely. "You know what she's talking about, Representative Cocoan?" asks Lamo. I give a positive gesture and explain. Legend tells that they were a people who made war against the Weaver herself, and were cursed to be reduced to animals. Dumbness, brutishness, senselessness, solitude. These were the wages of their arrogance.
"So, they're animals, you think at least. And I take it they're not particularly common?"
asks Ong. "I've only encountered one, once in my life. Its head hangs from the ceiling of my palace. It killed 3 of my sisters before he managed to bring it low. Without exaggeration, it was the hardest fight of my life." All 3 of the off-worlders lean away from me in apparent alarm at my words. "Was this anywhere near here?" asks Lamo finally. "It wasn't. The last time one of the Kohash was sighted in the Quarakan realm was generations ago. This was while traveling through a range of mountains that stands hundreds of kilometers to the northwest of here," I explain. The twig girl sneers. "All right, so it was either a Vraghand, or it was a monster of legend that hasn't been seen around here for hundreds of years. Which seems more likely?" "Representative," I start resolutely. If one of my people has violated the peace treaty I signed with you in my father's name, then I swear to you they shall see justice for it. She scowls and, an almost imperceptible amount, pulls her weapon back, studying me through narrowed eyes. What if it was Hawken? She poses suspiciously. I step forward, steadily bending my front legs and lowering my upper body to put my face a mere 30 centimeters from hers. She does not balk, neither cringing back from me, nor lashing forwards as I press the soft flesh beneath my throat against the thunder-type blade that has already penetrated it once. With my 8 eyes staring straight into her too, I growl, if this accusation is true, if my sister is responsible for this, after I made her my first woman, I will strike off her head myself, or may you strike off mine. This I vow, with conviction. The woman I'm making the oath to studies my face for a long few moments, as my heart beats hard behind my breastplate. Finally, she pulls the edge of my sister's foot from my throat, and, without looking, nimbly twirls it around and sheaves it back at her hip with her dexterous 5-fingered hand. We believe you, she states flatly, not meeting my eyes. Rearing back up to my full height, I offer, if your people need supplies of any kind to aid the survivors, name them and I'll have them brought here to the embassy to collect. I obviously won't be able to offer vegetable matter, as my people do not consume it, but meat from our larders, blankets from our silk stores, lumber from our lumberyard, or anything else we might have that you might need. We appreciate it, she says, exhaustedly. I'm about to offer aid in tracking down and killing the Kohash, if it turns out to be one, but hold myself back. Something tells me now would not be an opportune moment for the first ever invitation into a Twig village. I turn to the ambassadors, sat together on the far side of their desk. Ambassadors, would you permit me the use of one of your communicators? I need to make a call to my sister.
Dog's perspective.
I wake up. I hurt in the head and feel very weak. I groan as I shift the weight of the surprisingly comfortable bed I'm lying on. Sir, comes a strange voice. I bravely open the eyes and stare back from the strange face of the one sat beside me in the unfamiliar room. The hair is black with a streak of white in it, though she doesn't look old. The skin is a strange pale beige colour, and the eyes are a vivid shade of purple. Don't move too much, she pleads, holding an enormous palm out to me. You lost a lot of blood, so you're on an IV to replace your fluids now. You don't want to rip it out. It would hurt. I look to the place on the arm that she indicated and see that there's a tube stuck into me in a way I can't see because it's covered in a layer of sticky cloth. Where am I? I asked the giant woman, dazed. You're at the embassy. You were brought here from the worksite to be treated for your injuries after the attack on your village. Do you remember? Roaring, smashing, eating, crunching. It all hits me like a charging Beetleosaurus. I feel tears well up in the eyes as I grimace. I remember. The face goes sad as she says, I'm really sorry about this. Sorry, I didn't get your name from Representative Vig. I'm Emiko Smiles Miyazaki. You can just call me Emiko. Dolg of Dith. You can just call me Dolg, I say miserably. Alright, Dolg, she smiles sympathetically. I know this is hard, and I really wish it could wait until it might be a little less painful for you, but I really need you to answer some questions about the attack for me. Do you think you can? Ask, I say, face screwed up and tears spilling from the closed eyelids. Do you know what attacked you? She asks, her voice serious. It was a monster, I moan. Was it a Vrackhand or was it something else? She asks, a little more urgently. I don't know. I don't think so. It was a weird-looking one, if it was. I think it was something else. Did it look anything like this?
I open my eyes and turn to look at her, seeing that she's holding a magic glowing picture squared towards me. It shows a perfectly realistic image, like a moment frozen in time. In it is a Vrackhand woman with a large skull, held in the hands and pointed towards me. The skull looks vaguely similar to the face above it, but just more. It's nearly twice the width and height, the horns are thicker, the jaws are thicker, and end in a blunt rounded snout. That's it. That's what attack dith.